Hi, this is Larry Trocha, and today we are going to do a critique on a horse that I feel has really good conformation. I've done these critiques before, and we kind of focused on, the bad things to look for in a horse's conformation. But every time I do that, I get a bunch of emails saying, "Hey, Larry, do one on a horse that has really good conformation, so we can see the difference." And so today, that's exactly what I'm going to do. You can see this mare, and she's got a baby with her. She used to be a show horse. Now she's a brood mare. But let's just get started with the critique. And I'm going to start at the front and go back, and then at the top and go down. And we're going to cover all the things that really mean something when it comes to a horse's conformation. And before we get started, I should point out there are always exceptions to the rule on conformation. I mean, I've been fooled before, not very many times, but it does happen. So anyway, let's get started here. All right. So looking at this mare, the first thing that strikes me is this is a good-looking horse. I just like her looks. Even just glancing at her. Just my instant opinion is, man, I'd like to own this horse. We'll start with her head here, and when you look at her head, you notice the front of her face is a nice straight line. She's got a small muzzle, nice big eye, nice ears. I really like what I see here. She doesn't have any bulges in her forehead, which is really bad. And she doesn't have a Roman nose or a bulging nose. And she's not sheep-headed either. Sheep-headed means the head is kind of in the shape of a sheep's head on the nose here. And that's okay. I could live with that, but I like this horse's head real well. Now, you notice her mouth is fairly short. I love that. And, of course, a lot of people are going to say, well, Larry, what does the length of her mouth have to do with it? Actually, a lot. It's been my experience that the shorter their mouth is, the better feel they have to my hands. And they usually, a short mouth horse usually just has a better mouth, a better feel to their mouth. I'm sure there's exceptions, but if I got a choice between a short mouth horse or a horse that has a long mouth, I'm going to take the one with the short mouth. All right, so we look at this. The muzzle looks nice, the jaw looks nice. There's no weird lumps or bumps here. We look at her throat latch, and boy, you see how nice and clean her throat latch is. I tell you, that is nice. You look at her top line of her neck. I love that. You could draw a straight line across her hip, withers, and pole, and you've got a nice level top line. That is, to me, that's the ultimate eye appeal. I really like that. If you've got a horse with his head way up in the air, man, that just really detracts from the horse's look. And I really don't like one that travels with too low of a head at the lope. Matter of fact, in the reining classes and Western pleasure classes today, they're kind of striving for a head way down by the horse's knees. I don't like that on that kind of a horse. I think that's fine on a cutting horse that's working. He's a self-worker. The reins are pitched loose, and if that's where he wants to put his head, that's fine. But on a Western pleasure horse or a reining horse, I don't want their head down by their knees. Anyway, I liked her top line. The next thing we look at is she actually has some really nice withers. They're prominent. That's going to hold a saddle real good. You're not going to have to buy a special tree or anything like that to fit this horse. There's going to be a lot of saddles that fit this horse. Now she's got a little bit of a drop to her back here, which means the saddle's probably going to bridge a little bit, but not enough to be concerned about. I wouldn't even worry about it. I wouldn't give it a second thought. And as we go down her back here, pretty nice length of hip. It could be a little bit longer, but this is plenty long through the hip. Basically, what we're looking at is the hip bone right here down to the point of the hindquarters, and that's pretty darn good. It's better than average, I'll say that. Uh, Tail set, I like that. It could even be a little bit lower, not much, but a little bit to be ideal. Nice thick tail. I know that's just for looks, but I sure like a horse with a nice thick tail. It just looks awesome. Now I'm gonna give you some stuff here that you may not have heard before, and very few people take it into consideration. But when you look at the length of this horse's shoulder and the angle of this horse's shoulder, that tells me she's got a lot of angle, which tells me she's probably going to be a pretty darn good athlete. The other tip off that she's really going to be a good athlete is you see her chest right here, and see how high the bottom part of the neck comes out of the chest. That is ideal. When you see a horse at the bottom of his neck is coming out the chest way down here, that is usually going to be not a very good athlete. They're going to be heavy on their front end usually. And again, there's always exceptions to the rule. But man, I tell you what, this prominent wither, length of shoulder, neck position, this is all right. I mean, in my eyes, this is perfect. Her back is medium length. It's not too long, and it's not too short. I just consider it ideal. Now, for a performance horse like a reining horse or a cutting horse, there's an element to the conformation that I think is just critical. And here it is, right here. You see the top part of her croup here, and when we look and go down to her flank, to the underline of her body, you see how deep she is. Whoops, I messed that up. There we go. You see how deep she is through the flank here. I mean, man, that is. If they're not deep and strong through this area, they usually can't stop as good as they need to. I mean, if you're looking for a reining horse or a cutting horse, they almost have to be real deep through here, because both the reining horse and the cutting horse have to be extremely good at stopping. They got to be really strong to stop, from speed. So this is just critical. You got to have this. You don't have this, you're screwed. And when I look at the rest of her, the Gaskins look nice and strong. You can see the angle of the hock right here on the leg that's on the far side. That is a really nice angle. It's enough angle that it's going to help her stop, but it's not so much angle that it's going to make her pop curbs. A curb, all right, you see the point of the hock right here? A curb is a bowed tendon right below the point of the hock. And it happens a lot on horses that have too much angle in the hock. So you always want to avoid a sickle hocked horse. If they have a bunch of angle to their hind leg, that's why we call that a sickle hocked horse. And it just puts too much strain on the tendon back here. So the other thing that I really, really, really like is you'll notice her cannon bones on the front legs and the back legs. Do you see how short they are in relation to the upper leg? The cannon bones are quite a bit shorter than the upper leg. And that's critical if you want to have a good mover or a good athlete. I mean, you just got to have it. There's just no way around it. If their cannon bone is as long as the upper leg, they usually lope real high off the ground. There's a lot of knee action and a lot of hock action. And if you're doing the reining, in the cutting it wouldn't matter. But if you're doing a reining class where the thing you're doing the most is loping circles, he's got to be a beautiful mover. And he won't be a beautiful mover if his cannon bones are too long. So let's just work down here. And then you see this mare's fetlocks? They're kind of medium length, and I really like that. A horse with really long fetlocks, Usually that's a weakness and it's going to cause trouble. If the fetlocks are too short, they're going to be really rough to ride. Um, but I like hers. They're pretty nice. I think, as a matter of fact, I think they're ideal. One thing that a lot of people don't consider is the actual size of the horse and the actual weight of the horse. Now, we only have a side view right here of this mare, but if we had her faced up, pointing at the camera, we would be able to see the front of her chest. And, I hear people say so often, yeah, I want a horse with a nice big chest. Well, not if you want a performance horse. A horse with a great big chest, 9 times out of 10, isn't going to be a very good athlete. There's exceptions to that rule. I've seen exceptions to that rule, but, they are. That's what they are. They're exceptions. Most horses, if they have a wide chest, they're not very athletic. Heavy on the front end. You really want the hindquarters of the horse darn sure to be bigger than the forequarters of the horse, and along with the deep flank, it'll be like, he can really stop, be heavy back here, but be really light up front, be able to spin or turn around or work a cow. And that's, I always look for that. If we could see the rear view of this horse, I would want to see how much muscle she has on the inside of her gaskin. Now, right here in this photo, I can see she has plenty of muscle on the outside of her gaskin. But the inside gaskin is really, really important. If she has a small inside gaskin muscle, that's a weakness. She might not be able to stop as good as a horse with a large inside gaskin. I consider that pretty much mandatory, to tell you the truth. And and here's the thing that a lot of folks don't take into consideration. They have to have all this structure as good as possible if you're gonna buy one as a cutting horse, because a cutting horse has to spread its hind legs real wide to be able to maintain balance while he is working a cow. If you have a horse that won't spread its hind legs when it stops and turns, you don't have a cutting horse. I don't care how much cow that horse has. I don't care who trains it. There's some horses that just will not spread their hind legs, and those horses, they won't be very successful as cutting horses. Now, for a reining horse, we really don't want a reining horse to spread his hind legs. We want to keep his hind legs, a normal distance as they normally are, so he can slide a long way. The reining horse, if he spreads his legs too much during the stop, well, he's not going to be able to slide very far without coming up out of the ground and putting his feet back together. So on a reining horse, I really don't want them spreading their hind legs. But on a cutting horse, I darn sure do. All right, well, let me just think about this for a second here. Well, I think we've covered just about everything that we can cover on this horse. Again, I really like this horse. If I was going to buy a horse, I wouldn't hesitate buying one with the qualities of this mare. I mean, I sure like this mare. Now, is she going to be a good producer? We see her baby right here, but he's too young to really judge him, because the babies, they change so much. Matter of fact, I'll have people send me videos of, foals and weanlings, and what do you think of this one, Larry? Give me your. Well, I don't think anything about it, because by the time that horse is 2, he's probably going to look totally different than what he does as a baby. So you really can't, judge what a baby is going to be when it gets older. At least I can't. Maybe somebody else can, but I sure can't. I've seen plenty of really outstanding babies grow up to be horses that weren't very good. They totally changed. The conformation changed. They just totally changed. They look great as babies, and they look really bad as older horses. And I've seen vice versa. Also, I've seen some babies that look terrible, and then they hit that 2 or 3 year old year, and they look gorgeous. So you never know. All right, well, we're going to wrap this up. If you have any specific questions, feel free to email me. and I'll try to answer it best I can. All right, take care.